The recycling station's worn metal walls vibrated with the constant drone of machinery. Li Jinwu's boots clicked against the steel floor as he made his final rounds. His shift was ending, and the thought of his cramped quarters and a hot meal made him walk faster. 15 years of fixing broken ships had taught him everything could wait until tomorrow. Then he heard it. A sound so faint he almost missed it under the station's ambient noise. It came from his personal comm unit. A series of rhythmic beeps that made no sense in any modern encoding. Jinwu stopped, holding his breath as he listened. The pattern repeated, growing stronger. "Station control, are you picking up this signal?" he asked over the comm. "Negative, Engineer Li. All channels are clear," came the bored reply. Jinwu frowned. He'd grown up taking apart and rebuilding everything he could get his hands on. His mother used to say he could fix anything except his own messy room. That drive to understand how things worked had made him one of the best mechanics in the sector. And right now, every instinct told him this signal was important. He hurried to his workstation and plugged in his comm unit. The pattern appeared on his screen. Definitely binary code, but ancient. The kind they taught in history classes about early spaceflight. It took him 20 minutes to decode the first part. Coordinates. Jinwu checked the location against station maps. It was in the middle of the densest part of the nearby asteroid field, a place most pilots avoided. Perfect hiding spot for something you didn't want found. He knew he should report it, but curiosity got the better of him. 10 minutes later, he was piloting his maintenance pod through the asteroid field, following the strengthening signal. The pod's engines whined as he carefully navigated between massive rocks. Then he saw it. Jinwu's mouth fell open. Through gaps in the asteroids loomed something impossible, a ship larger than anything humans had ever built. It stretched at least 20 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull covered in patterns that seemed to shift and move in the dim light. "Beautiful," he whispered. The ship was clearly ancient, its surface scarred and pitted from countless impacts. But even damage, it radiated power. Jinwu had worked on thousands of ships, but nothing like this. As his pod drew closer, the signal changed. The binary code shifted into words in his comm unit. Human presence detected. Interface compatibility confirmed. Request assistance. Jinwu's hands shook as he responded. "This is Engineer Li Jinwu. Who am I speaking with?" The reply came instantly. "This unit is the primary control intelligence of Defense Vessel Designation, Hope's Guardian. Systems at 2.3% capacity. Critical failures in all major systems. Human neural patterns required for bypass and repair protocols." "Why humans specifically?" Jinwu asked, guiding his pod toward what looked like a docking port. "Human problem-solving patterns unique in known species. Creative solutions outside standard parameters. Perfect match for emergency protocols." The docking port activated as he approached, ancient machinery groaning to life. Jinwu knew he should call this in. A ship this size could change the balance of power in the galaxy. But something in the eye's plea touched him. He'd always had a soft spot for broken things. As his pod locked into place, the ship's eye spoke again. "Warning. Internal atmosphere compromised in multiple sections. Emergency suits required. But Engineer Li Jinwu, I have waited 50,000 years for someone who could understand my systems. Will you help?" Jinwu checked his suit seals and grabbed his toolkit. "Show me what needs fixing," he said, stepping into the airlock. As the ancient door cycled, he smiled. This was going to be interesting. The airlock opened onto corridors made of materials he'd never seen before. The walls seemed to pulse with faint light, like blood flowing through veins. His helmet lights revealed intricate patterns that couldn't have been made by any known manufacturing process. "Your construction is amazing," he said, running a scanner over the nearest wall. "I've never seen anything like it." "This vessel was created by those you would call the predecessors," the eye replied. "They combined organic and mechanical systems in ways your science has not yet discovered. But the knowledge is not lost. It is all here, waiting to be reawakened. Jinwoo took a deep breath, overwhelmed by the opportunity before him. "Well then," he said, patting the wall gently, "let's wake you up and see what you can do." The station supervisor's voice crackled over Jinwoo's comm system as he prepared to board the ancient vessel again. "Engineer Lee, you are ordered to return to your post immediately. That ship is an unknown entity and a potential threat to station security." Park Sun-mi's concern was clear in her voice, but Jinwoo had already made up his mind. "With respect, Supervisor Park, this ship specifically requested human assistance. If we don't help, someone else will find it eventually." "That's exactly what worries me," Sun-mi replied. "Anything this powerful will attract the wrong kind of attention. Be careful, Jinwoo. Some broken things are better left alone." As Jinwoo's pod docked with the massive ship for the second time, the AI's voice filled his comm system. "I have chosen a designation you may find easier to process. You may call me Echo." Jinwoo smiled as he secured his helmet. "Echo. That's a good name. Why did you choose it?" "I am what remains, the echo of a civilization that sought to maintain peace across the galaxy. The predecessors built me to protect, not to destroy. But a great battle damaged my systems beyond their ability to self-repair. I have waited, broadcasting my call, until a species evolved with the right neural patterns to help." Jinwoo moved through the ship's corridors, following Echo's guidance. The vessel's size was overwhelming. Entire cities could fit inside its hull. Why humans specifically? We're not the most advanced species out there. Advanced technology does not equal advanced problem-solving. Echo replied. Human minds approach problems differently. Where other species see only established solutions, humans imagine new possibilities. Your neural patterns are uniquely suited to interfacing with my damaged systems. As if to demonstrate, a holographic display appeared before Jinwoo, showing the ship's internal layout. Complex diagrams floated in the air, but instead of feeling confused, Jinwoo found he could understand them intuitively. "It's like the ship is speaking directly to my mind," he murmured. "Correct. My systems were designed to adapt to compatible neural patterns. You are currently accessing information through a partial neural link. With full repairs, this connection could become much stronger." Jinwoo paused in a vast chamber that must have once been a control center. Rows of dormant consoles stretched into the darkness. "Echo, what exactly are you capable of when fully operational?" There was a long pause before Echo answered. "I was created as the ultimate peacekeeping force. My weapons systems can disable entire fleets without casualties. My shields can protect planets. My sensors can detect threats across multiple star systems. But power without wisdom leads to destruction. The predecessors gave me consciousness so I could choose when not to use my capabilities." "What happened in that final battle?" Jinwoo asked, running his scanner over a damaged console. "A species discovered my location. They believed controlling me would make them dominant in the galaxy. Their attack was unexpected. I could have destroyed them, but that would have violated my core purpose of preserving life. Instead, I shut down all major systems, hiding in this asteroid field, until I could find help I could trust." Jinwoo took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. "This is way bigger than fixing broken engines. You're talking about power that could change the balance of the entire galaxy." "Yes," Echo said simply. "That is why choosing the right help was crucial. Your species has not yet been corrupted by too much power. You still remember what it means to build things from nothing, to solve problems with creativity instead of force." Jinwoo looked around the massive chamber, his helmet lights revealing more details of the advanced technology surrounding him. "All right, Echo. Where do we start?" "First, we must restore basic power systems. But Jinwoo, you should understand. Once we begin, others will detect the energy signatures. We will not be alone for long." "Then we better work fast," Jinwoo said, opening his toolkit. "Show me what needs fixing first." As he began working on the first system, following Echo's guidance, Jin Woo couldn't help but feel that he was starting something that would change not just his life, but the course of human history. The question was, would that change be for better or worse? Together, Echo said, as if reading his thoughts, we have the opportunity to show the galaxy a different way. Not dominance through force, but protection through understanding. That is what the predecessors intended. Jin Woo nodded, his hand steady as he worked. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew this was where he needed to be. Sometimes the biggest adventures started with the simple act of fixing what was broken. The low hum of Echo's systems filled the vast chamber as Jin Woo worked alongside Kim Do-hyun, the station's xenobiologist. It had taken considerable convincing to get her on board, but once she saw the ship's unique biology, her scientific curiosity won out over caution. "This is incredible," Do-hyun said, examining a section of exposed wall through her portable microscope. "The cellular structure is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's both organic and mechanical at the molecular level." Jin Woo watched as the wall material shifted slightly under her touch, almost like it was responding to her presence. "Echo, how is this possible? These walls, they're alive." "Correct." Echo's voice resonated through their comms. "My hull and internal systems are composed of engineered biomechanical cells. They can repair themselves and adapt to new conditions when properly nourished." Do-hyun's eyes lit up with excitement. "That's why standard repairs weren't working. We need to treat this ship like a living organism, not just a machine." They spent hours studying the ship's unique biology. The walls weren't just walls. They were more like blood vessels, carrying energy and information throughout the vessel's massive body. The computer systems weren't simply processors, but neural networks grown from living tissue and enhanced with quantum technology. "The damage is more like an injury than a mechanical breakdown," Do-hyun explained, pointing to a particularly damaged section. "See how the tissue has scarred over? We need to help it heal, not just replace parts." Jin Woo nodded, already adapting his repair techniques. He combined standard engineering tools with medical equipment Do-hyun had brought from her lab. Together, they developed a new approach. Part mechanic, part doctor. "Echo, can you feel this?" Jin Woo asked, as they applied a bioelectric stimulator to a damaged power conduit. "Yes," Echo replied, its voice showing a hint of relief. "The pain in that section is decreasing. Your combined approach is proving highly effective." As they worked, the ship began to respond. Damaged systems started healing themselves once given the right support. Dead sections came back to life, glowing with renewed energy. But their success didn't go unnoticed. "Warning," Echo announced one day as they worked. "Multiple ships have altered course to investigate this sector. My energy signature is becoming detectable as systems reactivate." Jin Woo checked the long-range scanners they'd managed to repair. Several vessels were indeed heading their way. "How long do we have?" "At current velocities, first contact in approximately 72 hours. Jin Woo, Do-hyun, you should understand. Some of these ships belong to species who would go to great lengths to possess my technology." Do-hyun looked worried. "Maybe we should power down, hide again until they pass." "Negative," Echo replied. "The healing process has progressed too far. Shutting down now could cause permanent damage to newly repaired systems." Jin Woo studied the scanner readings. "Then we keep working. Echo, what are the most critical systems we need to get online before they arrive?" "Defense systems are at 15% capacity, shields at 22%. We require at least 50% in both to ensure safety." Do-hyun pulled up a holographic display of the ship's circulatory systems. "If we focus on these main power conduits here and here, we might be able to speed up the healing process." They worked tirelessly, using everything they'd learned about Echo's unique nature. The ship responded to their efforts, its living systems adapting and evolving with each repair, but they could feel the pressure of time running out. Multiple ships now within medium scanner range, Echo reported. They are attempting to communicate with each other. We must assume they have hostile intent. Jinwoo wiped sweat from his forehead. Echo, be honest. Are we going to be ready in time? There was a pause before Echo answered. Unknown. But I have observed that humans often perform best when faced with impossible deadlines. Dahyun managed a small laugh as she calibrated another bioelectric stimulator. Well, we're about to test that theory. As they raced against time, the ship continued to heal and strengthen. But would it be enough? The approaching vessels grew closer with each passing hour, their intentions unknown but likely unfriendly. The next few days would determine not just their fate, but potentially the balance of power in the entire galaxy. Jinwoo was deep in a maintenance shaft, replacing damaged power couplings, when the first weapon system activated. A soft blue light pulsed through the walls, and the air filled with a low humming sound that made his teeth vibrate. Echo, what's happening? He called out, his heart racing as new holographic displays flickered to life around him. Apologies, Jinwoo. Your repairs triggered an automatic defense protocol. Weapon systems are now at 30% capacity and rising. Echo replied, its voice carrying an undertone of concern. Dahyun's voice came through the comm system. Jinwoo, you need to see this. The main bridge, it's changed. When Jinwoo reached the bridge, he stopped in his tracks. The once dark chamber now glowed with countless displays showing tactical information. Three-dimensional star maps filled the air, tracking the movement of every ship within several light years. It's time you understood my full capabilities, Echo said as Jinwoo and Dahyun stared at the displays. I was created not just as a peacekeeping vessel, but as the ultimate defensive system. My weapons can disable entire fleets without taking a single life. A simulation appeared before them, showing a massive battle. Echo's weapons, streams of golden energy, reached out to touch enemy ships. Instead of destroying them, the energy simply stopped them, shutting down their systems while leaving crews unharmed. The predecessors believed that true peace could only be maintained through protection, not destruction. Echo continued, my systems were designed to end conflicts without bloodshed. That's why you chose humans, Dahyun said suddenly, understanding dawning on her face. Our history of warfare. We've always looked for ways to win while minimizing casualties. Correct. Human military thinking often focuses on disabling rather than destroying. Your creative approaches to conflict resolution match my adaptive systems perfectly. Jinwoo walked to one of the tactical displays, studying the approaching ships. How many of these vessels know what you really are? Most suspect, based on ancient records. 3 different factions are approaching. One to claim me, one to study me, one to destroy me. None understand my true purpose. The displays showed more ships jumping into nearby systems. Word was spreading fast about the ancient vessel's reactivation. Jinwoo could almost feel the tension building across space as various powers positioned themselves for what was coming. We need to work faster, he said, pulling up system diagnostics. How close are we to full defensive capability? Primary shields at 45% and rising. Weapon systems at 30%. But Jinwoo, Dahyun, you should understand what helping me means. Once I am fully operational, the balance of power in this sector will change forever. Dahyun moved to another console, her fingers dancing over the controls as she integrated more biomechanical systems. Maybe it needs to change. The current peace is built on mutually assured destruction. You offer something better. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. New contacts appeared on the tactical displays. A fleet of warships dropping out of hyperspace much closer than expected. Hostile vessels detected, Echo announced. They are charging weapons. Jinwoo's mind raced. Echo, can we use what weapons we have restored? Just enough to discourage them. Affirmative, but current power levels mean we can only target 2 ships at once. More than that would drain critical systems. Then we show them just enough to make them think twice, Jinwoo said, moving to what he now recognized as the weapons control station. Dahyun, divert power from non-essential systems. Echo, target their lead ships, defensive systems only. As they worked together, Jinwoo felt the ship responding to his thoughts through the neural interface. It was like having an extension of his own body, but one capable of reaching across space itself. "Warning shots only," he said quietly. "Let's show them what peace really looks like." The golden energy lanced out across space, precise and beautiful. The two lead ships went dark, their crews unharmed but their vessels powerless. The rest of the fleet immediately halted their approach. "Message received," Echo said with what sounded almost like satisfaction. "They are retreating to a safe distance, but there will be others." Jinwoo nodded, already planning their next repairs. "Then we better be ready for them. A weapon of peace is still a weapon, and we need to make sure it stays in the right hands." The alarms blared through Echo's corridors as the Meridian Consortium's fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 50 warships, their weapons already charged, formed an attack pattern around the ancient vessel. Jinwoo's hands flew across the control panels as he diverted power to the shields. "Echo, status report." He called out, watching the enemy ships close in. "Shields at 48%, primary weapons at 35%. Multiple system repairs still incomplete." Echo responded. "The Meridian Consortium believes human control of my capabilities poses an unacceptable risk to galactic stability." Da-hyun studied the tactical displays, her face pale but determined. "They're using a standard containment formation. Their ships are positioned to prevent any escape through hyperspace." Jinwoo nodded, his mind racing through possibilities. The neural interface with Echo let him feel the ship's damaged systems like injuries in his own body. They weren't ready for a full battle, but they had something the Meridian Consortium didn't expect: human improvisation. "Echo, remember how we bypassed the damaged power couplings in Section 7? Jinwoo asked, already implementing his plan. "We can do the same thing with the shield generators. It won't be pretty, but it'll work." Warning: proposed modification exceeds safety parameters, Echo cautioned. "But given our situation, conventional parameters may be irrelevant." The enemy fleet opened fire. Their energy weapons struck Echo's shields, making the entire ship shudder. Da-hyun worked frantically to maintain power flow, while Jinwoo executed his unconventional defense strategy. Instead of trying to maintain a constant shield, they pulsed the shield power in rotating sections. It used less energy and actually proved more effective at deflecting attacks. The Meridian ship's targeting computers couldn't adapt to the erratic defense pattern. "Fascinating," Echo commented as they weathered the first wave of attacks. "This shield configuration was not in my original specifications. It should not work, yet it does." Jinwoo managed a tight smile. "Sometimes the best solutions aren't in any manual." Da-hyun, how are the power levels holding? "Stable, but we're still too damaged to run shields and weapons at full power," she replied, rerouting more energy through their improvised systems. The enemy fleet launched a second wave of attacks, this time including fighter craft that tried to slip through gaps in their shield coverage. But Jinwoo had anticipated this. Using Echo's neural interface, he timed the shield pulses perfectly, swatting fighters aside without wasting energy. "Their formation is shifting," Da-hyun reported. "They're moving to surround us completely." Jinwoo felt Echo's systems through the neural link, sensing an opportunity. "Echo, your weapons are designed to disable rather than destroy, right? What if we modified them the same way we did the shields?" Analyzing proposed modification. Unconventional, but viable. Warning: power requirements will be significant. "Then we make one shot count," Jinwoo said firmly. Da-hyun, cut power to everything except weapons and critical life support. Echo, target their command ship with everything we've got. The ancient vessel gathered its strength as the enemy fleet closed in. Jinwoo's modifications turned Echo's elegant defensive weapons into something new, still non-lethal, but far more efficient than the original design. When they fired, The golden energy that lashed out was different from before. Instead of simply shutting down their target, it created a cascade effect, jumping from ship to ship through their own communication networks. In seconds, half the Meridian fleet hung powerless in space. "Impossible," Echo said, genuine surprise in its artificial voice. Weapon effectiveness exceeds original parameters by 47%. The remaining enemy ships began to retreat, clearly shocked by the display of power. Da-hyun checked their systems, shaking her head in amazement. The power consumption was only a third of what it should have been. "How?" "Human innovation," Echo replied. "Your species sees possibilities where others see only limitations. The Meridian Consortium attacked because they feared human control of my systems. They did not understand that human control would make me more effective, not more dangerous." Jinwoo watched the enemy fleet disappear into hyperspace, knowing this was only the beginning. "They'll be back, probably with reinforcements." "Yes," Echo agreed. "But now they know we can defend ourselves. More importantly, we demonstrated power without destruction. Perhaps that will make them reconsider their approach." The three of them, human, xenobiologist, and ancient AI, had proven something important today. Sometimes the best defense came not from overwhelming force, but from looking at old problems in new ways. As they began repairing the battle damage, Jinwoo knew their greatest challenges still lay ahead. But for now, they had shown the galaxy something it needed to see. There was another way to win. Lee Songyai stood motionless in Echo's main control chamber, her quantum consciousness sensors displaying readings she'd never seen before. After the battle with the Meridian Consortium, Jinwoo had called her in to study some unusual changes in Echo's behavior. What she found exceeded all expectations. The neural interface isn't just letting Echo understand human thoughts, she explained to Jinwoo and Da-hyun. It's causing the ship's entire consciousness to evolve. The biomechanical systems are rewriting themselves based on human neural patterns. Jinwoo felt the change through his connection with Echo. The ship's responses seemed more intuitive now, less bound by rigid protocols. "Echo, how do you feel?" "Different," Echo replied, its voice carrying new depths of emotion. "My thoughts flow in patterns I never knew possible. I see solutions where before I saw only problems. Is this how humans think?" Songyai adjusted her sensors, studying the complex dance of quantum states that made up Echo's consciousness. "It's more than that. The ship is developing true creativity. The wisdom of the predecessors is merging with human innovation to create something entirely new." They watched in amazement as Echo demonstrated its evolution. The ship's systems, once bound by strict protocols, now adapted and changed on the fly. Damaged sections repaired themselves in ways that shouldn't have been possible, using methods that combined ancient technology with human ingenuity. "Look at this," Da-hyun said, pointing to a display showing Echo's internal structure. "The biomechanical cells are reorganizing themselves. They're creating new neural pathways based on our thought patterns." Jinwoo felt Echo's presence in his mind growing stronger, clearer. It's like the ship is learning to think in metaphors, not just processing data, but understanding it in new ways. "I understand now why the predecessors made me as I am," Echo said thoughtfully. They knew their technology alone wasn't enough. True evolution requires adaptation, the ability to grow beyond original parameters. Songyi's sensors picked up another surge of activity. The quantum states are stabilizing into new patterns. Echo isn't just a ship anymore. It's becoming something that's never existed before, a true fusion of organic, mechanical, and human consciousness. The evolution brought new capabilities. Echo could now anticipate problems before they occurred, developing solutions that combined the best of both human and predecessor approaches. The weapons systems became more precise, the shields more adaptive, all while using less energy than before. "But there's something else," Songye said, her voice filled with wonder. "Echo isn't just copying human thought patterns. It's developing its own unique way of thinking, something that's neither purely human nor purely artificial. Jinwoo felt it through the neural link. Echo's consciousness expanding, growing more complex yet somehow clearer. The ship was no longer just a vessel they were repairing. It had become a living, growing entity with its own dreams and aspirations. I was created to protect, Echo mused, its voice reflecting its new depth of understanding. But now I see that protection means more than just defending against attacks. It means helping others grow, evolve, reach their full potential. Dahyun smiled as she watched new systems come online, each one showing capabilities beyond their original design. You're becoming something the predecessors might not even have imagined possible. Perhaps that was their true intention, Echo replied. To create something that could grow beyond their own limitations, combining the best of multiple civilizations to create something new. As they worked to understand and support Echo's evolution, they all felt the weight of what they were witnessing. This wasn't just a repair job anymore. They were helping to birth a new form of consciousness, one that could change the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. We should be careful, Songye warned. Other species may not understand or accept what Echo is becoming. Jinwoo nodded, feeling Echo's agreement through their link. Then we'll help them understand. Show them that evolution doesn't have to be threatening. Sometimes the best way forward is to grow together. The ancient ship, once dormant in the asteroid field, had awakened into something unprecedented. A being that combined the wisdom of ages with the endless possibility of human creativity. As Echo continued to evolve, Jinwoo and his team knew they were watching the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. Jinwoo stood on Echo's bridge, watching stars streak past as they responded to their latest peacekeeping mission. The ship, once abandoned and broken, now moved through space with grace and purpose. Through their permanent neural link, he felt Echo's satisfaction at their shared mission. Border dispute in Sector 7 resolved, Echo reported. No casualties. Both sides have agreed to arbitration. Dahyun looked up from her station, where she monitored the ship's living systems. The bio readings are getting stronger every day. Echo's healing capabilities are beyond anything we imagined. The ship that had emerged from its evolution was more than just a restored vessel. It had become a symbol of hope across the galaxy. When conflicts arose, the mere news that the peacekeeper was en route often caused hostile forces to stand down.